Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below the video, there is a link to get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Brian's Logic, Arwin joining in the middle of the introduction, Eli, father of a stolen child, Neil, sleeping warrior, the Adam Meakin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So, welcome, one and all.
Good Monday.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
You're here.
Good to have you all. Let's kick off with housekeeping. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
None whatsoever. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah, nah.
I do have.
I might have a bit.
Nah, you haven't got a bit. There's no evidence. For
Don't tell me he hasn't
What are you
got
talking
it.
about?
If he's wrong,
Hello. Hello. Go ahead, Adam.
I've just witnessed a little bit. It's got to be Einsteinian, but the Americans are all out of kilter because somebody's bent some time over there and they didn't know what time the debates were starting.
I was going to say that's only evidence of the tilt of the Earth, but not the rotation.
Right, daylight saving time is...
What? But hold on a second,
The
Nathan.
tilt?
They both stole my thunder.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Right, space-time isn't bending. Yeah, moving the clocks isn't bending time, or... No. Afraid not.
I think what's happened is they've moved the clocks back, right, a couple of weeks before Europe have. So I think that's because they've tilted a little bit more towards the sun, so they've got to correct that a little bit before we have. So we're tilted a bit more away from the sun, and they're a little bit towards the sun, and that's proof of Earth turn.
That's my proof because I got to change my clocks twice a year.
What are you
Therefore,
babbling about?
Wait a minute, I thought they had it all
changed
figured
the
out.
clocks back for an hour, so now all clocks have been transported 1,000 miles to.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oh, no.
No.
So I do have a question.
Four-dimensional effect.
A little bit of pseudo, maybe.
I do have a question for anybody that believes in the incoherent dielectric magnetism point, and any ball earther that thinks that there is a gravity that's a force that's not a force, that hasn't been a force since World War One. So I've been thinking about the 2-litre bottle of pop or soda for the last couple of days, weeks maybe, and it's dawned on me that there's a problem. And the problem is that if there is a downwards acceleration and that gas molecules, because molecules are solids, because they say that the molecules, therefore they're solids, and therefore they behave like bouncy balls, then there must be an explanation for the following problem. Because bearing in mind that on their model, we're in a gravitational field, and bearing in mind that CO2 is more dense than the nitrogen and the oxygen that we're currently breathing, when you take the lid off the bottle of pop, it goes flat after a day or two. What's the explanation for those gas molecules that are not only defying relative density and in a gravitational field? What's the explanation for them jumping out the top of the bottle if gas molecules go down, go boom, boom, because they are technically solids? Because you don't have an explanation. What's the explanation?
That's the most convoluted question I've ever heard you ask.
Yeah, and gas does not
I
go
don't
down,
even
go
know
boom,
where you
boom.
began.
Yeah, gas does not go down, go boom, boom, like solid bonded bouncy balls. It's going to escape. The CO2 is going to go up.
I thought.
All right, let me do it. Let me do it in shorthand.
Blend.
Why do bottles of pop go flat if we're in a gravitational field and CO2 is more dense than nitrogen and oxygen? If
We're not in a
gas
gravitational
molecules
field.
go down, go boom, boom, they should never go flat.
We're not in a
That's the
gravitational
short
field.
version?
Gravity-
Because you open the bottle.
We're not in a gravitational field. Gas does not go down, go boom, boom. There is no downward bias. Anything else? Space-time isn't being bent.
Yeah, but bottles of pop do go flat.
Yeah, but they can't claim that gas or any kind of mass is being attracted to any other kind of mass. At present, their description of gravity is a mathematical four-dimensional effect. That is it. It's over.
Nathan,
They don't
may I ask
have
a
they
question?
don't have an explanation for why things fall or go up.
Alrighty then. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Ah,
Or incoherent dielectric acceleration physics.
Is there an experiment or a viable hypothesis, sorry?
Yeah. Is there any? No, the answer is no.
So no viable hypothesis. It's not
But
astrophysics.
we need to add, on top of the astrophysics and all the other ones that you say, we need to add on to that the incoherent dielectric acceleration physicists.
Why? Is that world-renowned, taught in universities, understood to be the world rhetoric?
is that physicist spelled with an F-I-C-C?
Based on the way I heard Bob talking about it on Globebusters last night, it sounds absolutely nailed on science, mate.
Sorry, based on one man. Sorry, what my question was, is it something that if I typed in a Google search, for example, it would come up as an explanation, or is it taught in universities to the world to understand as a nonsense downward acceleration or bending space-time? Or is this nothing to do with any of those
to
things?
consensus, though. That's a fallacious argument.
No, it's not. We are fighting against consensus because we don't agree with it. However, that doesn't mean that if I say, well, this isn't consensus, it just means I'm not fighting against it. I'm not saying I would only fight against it because it's consensus. That's not the point here. We're saying the consensus view is that there's a downward acceleration force. When gravity's not a force, it's the bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space. And 106 years ago was classed as mass attracting mass, now superseded by Einsteinian gravity, now superseded by quantum mechanics. So that's the current state of affairs, and if anybody asserts otherwise within the heliocentric rhetoric, I'm all for fighting against it, because any Joe Blogs on the street would benefit from that. But us arguing about somebody else within our own side that has a different idea about it, it bothers me not in the slightest.
I'd just like to know where the downwards bias is. So if you ever find that evidence, can we see it? Hashtag helium balloons.
There isn't one. I boil a kettle, I can shatter that illusion if anyone has it that there's a downward bias. There isn't a downward bias.
Hashtag upward bias.
There isn't an upward bias either.
Downward bias syndrome.
There's no bias, right?
The upward bias.
Also, hashtag floating bias.
No bias, right? There's a beautiful harmony, and that harmony is broken only by the cyclical nature of the world that we inhabit. We are surrounded by cycles, and they are in beautiful balance. There is no bias. Okay? Can we move on?
I agree, but they assert that there is.
They? Who? The ballers that the most of the Western world are under the same apprehension as, or some small subcategory of people that are technically on our own side and already appreciate there isn't a bending space-time or mass attracting mass force asserted to
Well, I'm thinking they are ballers. They might be.
This was the entire pre-show. I said in the pre-show, I'm not going to stop this conversation. It's on topic, right? So, you know, you can have at it. This is nature of the earth. I'm not going to stop you discussing it. But by the same token, I'm now having to labour this point. Which is the last thing I want. Isn't there a bigger fish to fry?
Yeah, but I don't understand how you could just take it so cavalier. You fight against what happened when people claim that there's an experiment, but you're not fighting against this when people are claiming that there's a downward bias.
I covered this in the pre-show, Neil. I covered this in the pre-show. An experiment that was claimed to prove Earth spins, touted by ballers, utilising a flat earther. That's right up my street, Neil. Yeah? Because you can type in a Google search, how much drift does Earth have, and it'll say 15 degrees an hour. And then moving forward, the ballers, the opposition, to take a patsy and present their data as proving 15 degrees an hour drift. Well, that's got two useful purposes for me. Number one, oh, so Earth turns underneath as a non-inertial turning reference frame to give us 15 degrees an hour drift. That would shorten flight times and would be manifest in drones drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour, not actual deflection as you turned underneath them. So it asserts their claim and cements their claim as their claim because they deny it. So that's useful. Also, the claim of experimentation can also be denied, and that's useful for people moving forward to understand how the scientific method is utilized and abused by both sides in this instance, if you want to look at it in that way, Neil. But that's right up my street.
Now I'm going to appeal to 10th Man because he was going to ask you a question when you started the show. So go ahead.
Right. So my point is, people come on all the time and they use the word experiment, and you're on them for using that word on a different matter and saying you can't use that word because it's not the scientific method. So you have one thing when they tie it to something, but then other people just come and say, I did an experiment. No, because that means scientific method. Where's your DV, IV, CV, blah, blah, blah. And, you can call it a test. You can call it something else, but you can't call it that. So you're sharp on that. So I guess what I'm hearing here from both sides, because I can care less either, but what I'm hearing from both sides, and I have to be fair, is that why aren't you on this?
I am. If someone came here and claimed they had an experiment, I believe Witsit gets it. Got the sharp end of my tongue when he came here and did precisely that. Step into this platform and talk about something you haven't got any evidence for and claim it as science. Yeah, you're going to get ripped a new one. And that's precisely what happened. Now, that doesn't mean that in terms of debating the nature of the Earth, it doesn't matter who you're coming from. Come as a concaver and you get the same treatment. But in terms of us proactively discussing it, which is what we're doing, who's claiming this? Hands up on the panel, who steps forward? It doesn't matter if you believe it or not, but who's willing to actually step forward and debate this subject here? Not on behalf of someone else, not as devil's advocate, who's putting it forward. I'm not talking to you, Righteous. I'm not talking to you. You made it clear that while you are on that side, you're not stepping forward to debate it intentionally. So I'm not talking to you specifically if anyone's watched the pre-show as well.
What?
Who's claiming it? Step forward. Stop. Brian, stop. 10th, stop. All who claim incoherent dielectric acceleration, step forward now. No one's claiming 10th, man. No one's claiming it. Brian, Neil, I'm talking to 10th. No one's claiming it 10th.
No, I know. That's
I don't necessarily claim it, but I won't hand dismiss it.
I'll on 10th. Someone else is piping up. Bloody hellfire. Whoever that was, go ahead.
I don't claim it. I just don't hand dismiss it. I don't hand wave it away.
So where do we see the downward bias then? If you accept it, where do we see it?
No, there's definitely no downward bias though. But I'm saying
so you can't accept you can't accept it then, you must dismiss it.
Slowly. One of you speak, then the other replies. 10th, sorry. Anthony and Don Gio.
If you don't dismiss it, then you need to demonstrate where there is this so-called downward bias. Because if you can't demonstrate the downward bias claim, then there is nothing to accept because there's nothing there to prove.
I understand that, but definitely electrostatics is a phenomenon that I do observe.
None of us deny electrostatics. None of us would deny that. That's self-evident.
That's why it has a separate name.
Right, it's called precisely how it's called incoherent dielectric acceleration. That's the name of it.
Well, give a shit about that, to be honest.
Me neither, Chuck. I couldn't give a toss.
Could I just say something? The whole downward bias thing is something that's been promoted by, I'll say Bob, but it doesn't matter who it is. But I say it's Bob because he's the biggest voice. Let's just say because he's the biggest, such a big channel and that. But whatever it is that whatever it is they're investigating, it doesn't matter whether they prove themselves right. They still can't prove themselves right if they're claiming a downward bias. So you could have a point about electrostatics, but they'll never prove that point if they have a belief in a downward bias.
Question:
That's where it stops.
Friction cause?
Yeah.
Can friction cause electrostatics?
Sorry, Don. what's just been explained to you is that none of us would disagree with this electrostatic description and examples thereof. None of us are disagreeing with that. That's the first thing. But it's been laid out to you by, and you conceded this, that what you need is a downward bias to then move forward to try and explain it. If there isn't one, you don't have to explain it anymore. Do you understand?
Oh yeah. There's no down. There's no. Yeah. Okay. I get. Okay. Yeah. Right.
So why would we now suddenly start? This is Chocolate's point. So yeah, well, electrostatics. That's fascinating. Yeah, we could also sit here, and I'd like this a lot, if we all discuss sound waves and electronics and signal path. Yeah, we could. But unless I'm going to start asserting that the pressure generated by my subwoofer is a reason for a downward bias, there's no really reason to brace against it until I assert that. So without the assertion, it's just an interesting folly to examine. Electrostatics, great, interesting for someone else.
Yeah, like that's nice. Is that why I'm supposed to be sticking sideways to a spinning ball in a vacuum? Is that why? No? Then I don't care. Thanks.
That back and forth between Don Gio and Sleeping Warrior was the most concise ending to somebody who might have been misled into thinking, well, no, it's really important that we study this incoherent dielectric acceleration force. And you're like, oh, right, why? Well, I don't really know why. I just don't want to hand wave it because it seems like there is actually this electrostatic force. Yeah, there is. It's called the electrostatic forces.
Right.
Yeah? Zero
Can I
going.
say something?
No, I want to say something first.
Okay.
Right. So it's a joke. Baron Bob Harkonnen has an incoherent dielectric floating suit.
Go ahead, Neil.
The problem is when there's a bigger channel stating that Anthony's experiment doesn't explain everything, and then this incoherent dielectric acceleration comes in because there is obviously a downward bias that we observe every day on Earth. That's a problem.
Oh, wow. There's this guy called Destin. I think he's
I
got a
don't
channel
think
called
how
Smarter Every Day.
mention it.
Tells millions of people about this force called gravity. And everyone believes him. I mean, everyone believes him. There's this tiny handful of people that we're part of, and also this other guy called Bob Nodell's part of it as well, strangely enough. But when we speak, we get told we're idiots, regardless of which side of incoherent dielectric acceleration we're on. Whereas when this Destin guy, you know, goes and chats with the guys that are making the CGI videos for the TV about this outer space fake place, they all just believe him. So who's my enemy?
Yeah, but we're fighting against them daily.
Somebody said bigger
Here's
channels.
the thing.
Yeah. Who was barking on about bigger channels? Was it you, Neil?
I can't believe
said
nobody
that.
laughed to my joke. Jeez.
I said that first.
Nobody understood it.
Yeah, and
The
I
point-
stood behind
I'm
you.
sorry,
The
Orwell.
point.
Can we
The point-
stay on topic?
Well, you got
Joking.
it.
Hello, can I get
Yeah,
some control? Hello, whoever it was that was trying to get in. I think it was Brian or Neil. The
Yeah,
point they
it
were
was
making
me.
was, well, there's a bigger channel that's disagreeing with Anthony. Anthony's done an experiment. He's validated his hypothesis. Beyond that, if you've got half a brain and you understand how science works, that's where you put a punctuation mark. You put a full stop, a period, and go, excellent. That's that. Confirmed. Tick. Done. Moving on. Now, if you don't understand that, and you can be swindled by people who give you quasi-experiments, after you understand that the world's not a sphere and a sky vacuum, more for you. Not my problem. I've tried, QE's tried, you on the panel have all tried to educate the audience in what science is. Now, if you're still being swindled, that's on you.
The point I was trying to make, I'm not saying that the globebusters are our enemy or they're on the other side. The point I'm making, and Neil was making the same point, I think. I leave Neil speak for himself, but I think he was making the same point, is that the people who are promoting this all have way bigger channels than us. So they're going to get more airtime. They're going to get to more people. And the problem is that if it's a positive claim, not just an investigation, but a positive claim of an actual cause to an actual effect, then what happens down the road if this starts getting taken as a fact? Then we're back to the same nonsense that we're in now.
We do the same
I'd
thing we
say-
do all the time.
Oh,
Okay, you have experiment for that?
Yeah, but why
yeah,
should
yeah.
we?
Hold
why
on,
wait
no, I
till
was
that
gonna
point?
respond. I was gonna respond. You made
Hang
your
on.
point, Brian.
No, I
But
didn't.
you
I
did
wasn't
make your point.
finished. I wasn't
You
finished.
you did, and then chocolate jumped in front of me when I was.
No, chocolate
was
came in.
trying to
Okay,
get-
all right, let's get
From
some
what I
order.
was
This will take
talking, I
10
have
minutes
to
of
shut
arguing
up.
about it. Just let Brian finish. You'll take 30 more seconds, and then we'll move on to Eli.
Yeah, I'm not trying to talk over you, Eli.
And just
I
get on with
wasn't
it.
finished what I was saying.
Okay, let's
Now,
not
the
discuss
point
that.
the point I'm making is why are we going to have to get to a point of having to do that? It's if we don't nip the thing in the bud now, and then we're going to have to deal with that problem in the future. I don't
Why?
see the point.
Oh, hold on. So we're assuming that Bob from Globebusters is going to establish the new Western world paradigm? I don't think so.
Be
Well,
very
Right.
careful with that.
You know, why
Just well be.
why assume that he's not?
Because he hasn't.
Believes it.
Because he hasn't.
Nathan, can I ask
So
you a question
weird.
real quick, if you may? If I may. Can
Eli,
gases
okay.
contain a
waiting
static
for Eli.
charge?
So, I would say, Brian, that you don't have any faith in what this channel alone has done. I have never been in any dark corner of the internet fighting and someone say, hey, you're parroting Bob Nodell. I don't give a fuck about him, and neither does anyone else. Put too much faith in what he's doing. At the end of the day, people are afraid that I'm parroting the right science against their pseudoscience. No one's talking about Bob but you and
Hold
everyone
on.
else here.
That's not
I'm
entirely
bored with
true.
Here's
Though.
the thing.
No,
That's not entirely
true.
true though, because
You're
a lot of
absolutely
people
wrong,
claim
Eli.
that he proved the rotation of the Earth. So
No.
Darn straight, Alwyn.
Okay, thank you.
You look at the
Hold
amount
on.
of people who were in the
Somebody from
Globebusters
Discord
chat.
wanted to get a word in there, whoever it was.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. How can you have a downward bias with dielectric acceleration if gases can sustain a static charge? They go in all directions. So you can't
Yeah,
just
you're
say
There
it
you
goes
go.
agreeing with
down.
Don.
Conversation done.
Exactly.
You agree with us then?
Conversation done. There you go.
Hello, we all know this. That's not
We
what
all
Yeah,
know this.
No, maybe he
everyone
just
stop
Right, I
talking. Hello? Yeah, so Don was the only person who stepped forward to argue this point. Now he's conceding our point. Let's not all talk over him. Do you want to repeat yourself, Don? As you were the only person stepped forward to actually argue this.
Yeah. Look. So gases they can sustain a static charge and they go in all directions. So how is there a downward bias? They go in all directions.
Indeed.
They don't just go down.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Huh. Okay.
That's why
Well-
we're here, man.
But we
Well,
all know this.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
The point I'm making is not about the argument against it, because I'm not against it. I'm only against a positive claim that's not able to be backed by experiment. That's what I'm against. I'm against it because let's be honest, how many people were watching Globebusters yesterday? How many people did they have? I hate to say it, but they have more people than is on the channel now here. I would rather it was different, but it's not. And they're going to start
hold
choosing
on.
a
Guys,
hang on,
hello?
I haven't
Hello?
finished.
I'm sure we can qualify these statistics if you want me to. I'm pretty good at my statistics, and I'm pretty sure I could investigate Bob's should I need to qualify this in this manner. But I'm not going to. I'm going to do it in a slightly different manner. So if I look at one of the gravity videos from Globebusters with 19,679 views, and then compare that to Smarter Everyday, who has got 2.6 million views on a bullshit video about gravity. Who am I more concerned about? Took me a while to find that Globebusters video, by the way. It actually took me about 3 or 4 minutes. When I searched it,
I get
just
your point.
putting gravity into Google, instantly found a video from Smarter Every Day, and it took me 3-4 minutes of searching to find a specific video from Globebusters
point.
about gravity. Whoever's talking
I
through
got
me,
an
can you
answer
stop
for that.
talking through me? Thank you. I'd like to get to the end of the point I've just spent 3 or 4 minutes researching without being bloody interrupted. Yeah, my point stands. You saying a bigger channel, 20,000 views, you having me on? 2.6 million from Smarter Every Day talking about gravity. Instantly found on a Google search. took me a while to find the same information in the counterpoint from gravity with globe busters as the title. It took me ages, relatively speaking. So you think this is a concern? I disagree.
I got a comment.
20,000 more.
I got a comment for that. So that's one take from one angle about views with a different context. What I think everyone here is concerned with is that we are just wanting to create a paper trail of showing how silly it is because there's no proof for it. And so that's why we're talking about it and should keep talking about it and keep addressing it so that in the event down the road, this little leaven becomes a big old piece of bread. They have this paper trail that people stood up against it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, then you do it in the way it just happened when someone came along and they were like, yeah, well, what's this? What's this electrostatic, whatever? And then you're like, what's that got to do with the downward bias? And they go, I guess I don't know. Okay, moving on. But really, people are actually understanding the scientific method. People are actually understanding what's going on here, and it's making a bigger impact than anywhere else as far as I've been in this community.
Right,
and
but what you're
around.
saying there is what everyone's already said. We have a channel with a certain size audience. They have a bigger channel with a bigger size audience. So they're getting more views of something that isn't proven, and the smaller channel with a smaller size audience gets it because we talk about it and we say, well, just show it to us. I mean, if you show it to us, we'll accept it.
But will it stick?
Everything started
But
small.
what I'm saying is, will it stick in conversation? Because you're not just going to go over there and shut his channel down because he's getting more views.
No one's talking about that. We're talking about...
so then in a conversation, will it stick? When the conversation that was just had between Chocolate and Don Gio is just like, will it stick?
Yes, let me tell you how life works. It always starts with one lie, very small. 2 people know about it. Maybe 1 person knows about it. Next thing you know, the whole world believes it.
Exactly.
Here's the thing: if you got logic and common sense and science, you're gonna catch on, like I just did.
Exactly.
We don't want to
you
shut
got logic.
down that. We want to shut down the argument, not the channel, the argument. Okay.
No, we want
Right.
to have the argument. So I don't. This is not like we're all against to have the enemies or be the enemies of globebusters. What I'm talking about is stopping it becoming something in 10 years' time that it can become. And then it's something that is just no different than the claims of gravity.
I see that.
What's the point?
I see that as bad. I see that as bad. I'll tell you why. Because I see that as bad. What happens if... How many things do you think in life get discovered by accident? One person's looking for one thing and they discover something new accidentally while on a completely different path. But you're trying to say, well, let's try and shut down their journey of discovery because we know that their premise they're basing their journey on is flawed. Well, we know it's flawed. We can point it out. What's that you say? There's a downward bias. Clicks kettle.
Yeah,
End of
that's not
argument.
what he's saying, Nathan.
That's not
Phil's
what I'm
helium
saying.
balloon.
That's
I
not what
never
he's
said
saying.
shut him down. I never said shut him down. I never said stop investigation. I'm totally into investigation into it. I know more about it than they know I know. I've been looking into it before most of them looked into it.
Yeah,
The
Brad,
brand
Brad,
I make
can I just say-
don't make a
let's just hear
positive
Anthony.
claim.
Okay. let's hear
Exactly,
Anthony.
the downward acceleration claim. Stop
Okay,
the
but
Can I
we're
just say,
having
can
a
I-
conversation.
Let's try and get some
right?
control
Bro.
so we hear just one person. Anthony, go ahead.
Can I just say that when Nathan turns on his kettle and chocolate fills up his helium balloon, I just add a little bit of salt to make the egg go down, up.
Exactly.
We'll try that again. I'll edit
That's
it.
my point.
Anthony, just repeat that. I'll edit it out.
Well, it was a deliberate, intentional slur at the end, so I'll do
Oh,
it
was
with
it?
the slur on purpose.
Oh, I see. It went down where it went up. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So with Nathan and his turning on his kettle for the gas to rise and chocolate filling up his helium balloon, I just added a little bit of mass to the medium and made the egg go down. I mean, up.
I see. Very good.
I got that. Come on, Nathan, keep up.
Keep
No,
up.
like,
Nice.
My excellent pun nobody got.
We all got it.
No,
I'm
We're,
just sat here shaking
we're
my head.
arguing about having the conversation, except we're having it. That's all I'm saying.
No,
We
no,
are-
Right.
the conversation.
no,
we're
we're having it.
Guys, can we have
we're
one person
having
at a
it.
time, please? 10th. Go ahead.
Yes, I saw something that I think Bob penned it. Someone helped me because I don't know where I saw it. I think it was Master B or one of the other Skype rooms where he says he's going to limit who he talks to about this. So he's already saying he's not going to go and talk to people like us who are going to ask the hard questions. Did anybody else see that?
Yeah, I wrote
Yes,
that.
that's what's annoying me.
Yeah, it's that what Bob said on Globebusters was that there's a certain group of people that will never will never be allowed into that conversation.
Exactly.
People like
He-
Chocolate who walk
he
around with a
didn't-
helium
yeah.
balloon wondering what the fuck is a downward bias.
So hold on. So to that point, Brian, what happens when you make a subject taboo?
I don't
Yeah,
know, go
but
on.
that's not the point, Eloy. The point is the very
I
people
thought it
that
was
should
the
be
point.
involved in it. He's not involved in it.
Brian, Eli's got a really good point. Just humour him.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
He asked
you tell
you.
me, Eli.
I'll
You tell
repeat
me.
it.
Or rather me guessing.
He said, "What happens when you make a subject taboo?"
People want to know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we're talking about it.
So you're saying Bob's good at marketing?
15 degrees an
No.
hour. I bet he
He's
Oh,
is.
good at
Don't change the
troll
subject, please, Neil. Don't convolute this, please.
I'd like to double down on it a little bit. If they don't see it, they eventually will. I understand your point where you're coming from, Nathan. If they don't see it, they eventually will.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
just
if they
did.
don't, you can't save every soul. You can't hold people and say, you've got to understand that he hasn't varied the independent variable. Most people just glaze over.
Right. But when you offer a sustainable opposition with good questions, that's how people see it. And that's all Brian's talking about.
Exactly.
I see
Well,
more value,
just say-
far more value in what Quantum Eraser's doing. His approach is drop anchor on science, make sure everyone understands what it is, then they'll spot it for themselves. Then we don't have to do anything. Arm them with the tools to pick apart their armor, rather than picking apart their armor.
Well, then what happened to... Hang on. Then what
I
happened
want to
the
address your
sci-
previous
hang on.
point.
One
though.
at a
Hang on.
time,
What-
10th man, go ahead.
Then what happened when the scientific method was accepted, and how did it get so fouled up if everyone dropped anchor back then?
They did it.
They didn't. Everyone used it as a magic trick to lend credence to their just so stories. That's where we come in. Go ahead.
Not when you first...
Hold
no,
on.
no,
Hold on.
no,
Everyone,
hang
hold
on.
on. There's a queue.
I
Everyone
don't
wants to
accept
talk.
that.
Eli.
You can't say that.
Jesus Christ, why is everybody so rumpusy?
No,
Yeah,
because
I just want to hear.
that's a
Everyone's got
ridiculous
something to
answer.
say. My God, why is this happening? Eli,
Because
go
I didn't
ahead.
get a chance to rebut.
Yeah, but everyone else wants to have a go too.
Yeah, but
Go
I
ahead.
asked you. the
Meanwhile, I'm
question.
still trying to answer your first question that he answered, which we're now going down a tangent. So
I'm trying to-
my response to you is, Brian had a debate with Witsit. The conversation is being had.
Why? Everyone.
I have to
picks
disagree
one-
with that.
Totally disagree with that. You go to one event at one time and say it's been had, when it's still continuing to be spoken about, and new conversations must also happen.
But that wasn't your previous point. I'm not
What was my
disagreeing.
previous point?
Well, you're saying we want to have the conversation. It is being had.
No, I'm saying we
It's
are
also
having,
been had this morning with Don Gio.
Yeah, we're having it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that somewhere I read, and Brian
Yeah, I
backed me
wrote
up
it.
on it,
Yeah, I wrote that.
certain people, based on what Bob is doing, are not going to be invited to have this discussion. Okay, that's fine. That's his gig. I don't care. We're having it despite what he says, because he doesn't run the universe, right? So that's fine with me. But the point is, back to what I was saying, is that when the scientific method was first discovered, people said, okay, this is how we do it for cause and effect in an empirical manner. How did that change over time when at one time everyone knew this is the way to do it? That changed because pseudoscience came in and good people didn't stand up against it hard enough.
And you're correlating
Yes.
that with what Bob's doing now, and that could happen again.
It
Yeah.
will happen again.
It will. It's on the way.
Unless we grow our numbers, because we're not doing that significantly now. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Well, we
it's not
are,
about
but like when
numbers.
Brian wants to continue to have the conversation, and it said that it didn't go his way when he debated Witsit, so now he's trying to get in a bigger channel to promote himself. Now you're taking it away from the argument and making it personal.
So we go beat them up then. I mean, because other than that, what's the solution?
Hang on.
I'm
Let me
seriously
add some
asking,
clarity.
what is the solution?
Let me add some clarity. The problem is
giving a fuck.
we're here arguing about this amongst ourselves when we should have been able to. Everyone should be able to talk about this with everyone. The Globusters side with us with them, the ballers with them, the ballers with us about it. But there is a block in that conversation, and there's been a constant block in that conversation, and it's not from us. And
But then-
I don't know. It's just, I just
problem-
see the
Hold on.
nonsensical part is any one of them could show up here on this panel. None of them will get kicked out or anything, and it just seems like it be the same the opposite way. That's all it just seems like, and that's just the ridiculous part.
That's telling.
now you got this.
That's very telling. Wouldn't you agree? That's very
It
telling.
is. It is.
Yes,
Why?
but it's always been like that. That's always been their
Well,
code of
why?
conduct.
Why is that? Why is it that everybody is welcome? Even all of these globetrotters that come here are welcome to this panel, but it seems like we have to get shut down or not spoken to about certain subjects because we don't agree with them. Like that's the part I'm just like, whatever, bro.
This,
Like,
this, the,
But it's always been
kickback.
like that.
Hold on.
They never
yeah,
engaged
Hold on,
really in
Arwin,
debating
then
like
Adam.
that because they weren't good at it.
whatever.
So
Sorry, can you say-
equally,
how-
Said it.
equally,
just everyone
so equally,
can't. Shh, hello. Just Arwin on his own so I can hear him. Then Adam, please. Go ahead, Arwin. Can you repeat what you just said?
Right. Just a short point, it's always been like that. Now we are going sort of against some of the things they are saying, but they never really engaged with ballers elaborately either, just some sporadic conversations and then just complaining about it and then being very happy about how they don't go into debates. And that's been like that forever since the start. That's their policy. They have a safe space. They don't go into debate.
And don't bring us up.
Well, yeah.
Adam and then Eli.
Go ahead, Adam.
Sorry.
Morning, Adam.
I mean, it's clear there's the two issues, and I just really want to look at the second one. Yesterday was very telling, and I think for me, when I entered this arena, and I think most people with the tools we're being armed with, they have discernment, and certainly if there was ever a point where I was told this is something, but do not go and listen to this opposing side, as a person with discernment, the first thing I would do is that. So to me, all this sort of behavior is counterproductive in of itself. It's there. I'm with Nathan. I'm not there to try and force anybody's opinion. I'll give mine on it. And in this subject, I've already gave it on Globebusters Live. I don't agree or disagree. It's a unprovable thing we're discussing at the moment. But I do give people credit. And I think if you go out there and you're given a narrative, and I think certainly flat earthers, if they were given the sort of narrative that was purported yesterday, I'd be very dubious as to why certain people wouldn't be included in that debate. And I would be very, very interested in their opinion on it. It would be the first thing I'd seek out. So each to their own, and I think give people a bit more credit. I think we need to distinguish between the 2 points. There's that which affects what Nathan denies, which is the community. And there is a bit, and I think that strains a little bit on our sensibilities there, that we should be working together. We've tried to, and to be excluded, to have a kind of scientific apartheid is very interesting, but I think it's more telling for those that are imposing it.
Indeed. Eli, go ahead.
Okay, so I think the main point is, okay, they, whoever they are, have a large audience. So now, not only do they have a larger audience than here, which I don't think has anything to do with impact or influence. But so now they are also going to censor people. So echo chamber. What happens to people who have an echo chamber and come into either here or 24/7 Flat Earth Discord? What happens to that person?
They get ripped to pieces, don't
They get smashed.
They get ripped to pieces. They've not had any contrary views to ever fight against.
Okay, well, yeah.
I think you're breaking up a little bit.
But what
Eli.
happens when you got somebody like Rachie who's trying to find something out and she's being coaxed in a certain direction? Just leave her alone.
That's
Which goes
everybody.
back to my first point that Nathan said that I
Everybody.
didn't answer properly. My point was not that Bob might have a dissent in opinion. My point was that he was double speaking to confuse the matter so that people like Rachie coming to the topic think that it's far more confusing than what it actually is. That was my point.
Meanwhile, Smarter Everyday, 2.6 million viewers, is actually punting the Western world view, and that does actually have a major, significant impact on what the Western world thinks. This little aside with somebody within our community that you want to put your arm around, in this case Rachie, and say, no, this sub-faction, they're wrong. This in the bigger scheme of things, I know we've now spent an entire show on this, but based on what Adam, who gave me a bit more insight into it, thank you, Adam, in terms of what's being happened, from what I gleaned from what Adam's just said, it's literally people are being directed away from the contrary point of view. Is that correct?
It's not welcome within the debate, which is.
Be more specific. What's not welcome where? Where's the debate? Who's
us?
Certainly
What
our.
I'm hearing.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chocolate or Adam, one of you, just give me a bit of clarity. What are you talking about? Us? What do you mean?
I'd hate to misquote, so I can only go on my recollection, but my understanding was that we are not welcome in the debate.
Who's we? Please be more specific.
Well, you, me, Chocolate, Elijah, Neil, Brian.
Flat Earth debates, bro.
Arwin, Sleep, Tony, definitely, QE, anyone else that may want. And this is, I assume then, I'm not sure where the criterion is drawn as to whether it's anyone that has associated with you or is in the past, or anyone that comes to the opinion that it maybe not be validatable scientifically. It wasn't quite clear that.
I see. So for clarity, Flat Earth debate team / anyone who disagrees aren't welcome.
Not so sure about the / anyone who disagrees, but definitely not us. But I can only think the reason we're not welcome is.
How has this been established? Why definitely not us? Have we been named by name as you've just done?
No.
How do you know it's us?
Maybe it's my ego. Maybe it's just my ego.
Can I just say?
Can I just say?
Oh God, you're sugar Anthony. Hold on, Anthony.
Can I
hold
just
on.
say? I heard
just
I heard the same
Anthony.
sentence.
Hello. Can you just let Adam get to the end of his thought, and then yes, you can go next. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah.
Just finish off what you're saying.
I will try. Maybe it is just my ego then.
Can I just say, I heard the same point in the conversation that Bob was having. I did not get the impression he was talking about us. I thought he was talking about other people that might be hating on him for the same reason, but I didn't get the feeling he was talking about us. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are other people he was talking about, and you guys have got it wrong. I just want to point out that Bob claims that he's open to the conversation, and I've been asking him for years to have the conversation with me, and he will not do it, and he will not talk about the egg going up. That's all I need to point out, really.
It's not a sexual reference for anyone who's new.
What was said was that certain people will never be allowed into the conversation. He didn't specify who, but you could basically, from my most recent interactions with him, and at least one other member of the panel here, who we won't have to name, you could basically say he's not interested in having a conversation with me and that person.
No, but he claims he is, though.
You can always just ask.
Hold on, Adam. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, Adam. Just go ahead, Brian. Just finish off.
Yeah, well, the claim was, or what was, sorry, not a claim, but what was said is that there'll be certain people who will not ever be allowed into the conversation with Bob and the rest of the people who are with Bob who support this. I'm not talking about all them over there on Globebusters. I like some of them people, and I'm not enemies with them, but Bob did make that statement. The problem is that I'm going to say it straight. The problem is that Bob views certain people as his enemy because they don't agree with him, as opposed to them just not agreeing with him and not viewing him as their enemy. Understand?
See, that's the fundamental difference between Bob and other people. My view is that Bob's argument is naff. My view is that Bob personally doesn't really matter. I just don't like the fact that he's pushing stuff that is speculative as though it's actually true, and he's influencing people that are like on their journey, new into the journey, like Rachie, that I'm not putting my arm around. I'm just acknowledging that she's being fed bullshit, and she'll probably work it out because she's not as dumb as what some people might think she might be because she's new. But the point is that Bob's person is kind of irrelevant to the point he makes. The point he makes is naff, regardless of how good or bad Bob is. But you're right, Bob does pin it on the person, and he makes Nathan Oakley this or Quantum Eraser that. It's nonsense. But that, again, epitomizes the whole scenario. It's nonsense.
Okay, I got all that. Right, just for anyone, I will come back to Adam because I know he wants to get a word in here, but just for anyone who's just joined us. So, in summary, what we're discussing is an assertion that there is a downward bias, that it requires explanation, and that explanation is the incoherent dielectric acceleration. Now, to summarize why we don't agree with that, it's because there isn't a downward bias. You only need boil a kettle and watch the steam go up to know that there's not a downward bias. So that's the position that we were arguing about. The reason why this has turned into such a lengthy discussion, from what I can glean from my co-panel members, is that there's a defiance of any discussion, debate from a certain unnamed party of people who is assumed to be us in this regard, and that is objectionable because there's an assumption that because they're so massive and have got such huge channels and are influencing so many people, that may become the worldview rhetoric. That's what I've got from this as I roll my eyes. Adam, go ahead.
Don't poo-poo it.
Okay, Neil, did you just want that interjection or did you have something to add? Because I want Adam to give his 2 pennyworth again.
No, you're making it sound like it can't happen. It's happened already.
Yeah.
I'm not denying. We wouldn't be discussing it. Anyway, Adam, go ahead.
I'd just like to clarify my ego, if that's all right. And the reason I would include myself. When I was kicked out, removed from Iron Realm, the justification was this conversation was causing too much drama. And that's one of the fundamental reasons I was asked or kicked out, asked to leave, depends how you want to view it. Subsequently from that, obviously another member of the Iron Realm crew then released a positive statement that this was gravity. So with regards to the previous comments in terms of inclusiveness of the discussion, I'm confident I'm not included.
Okay, fair enough. Now, that's a piece of information you hadn't released to the public until now, Adam. So, for clarity, you are saying that based on your disagreement, presumably for the same reasons already disclosed here today, you were relieved of your position on Iron Realm. Is that correct? I know it's correct.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was felt that I was bringing drama to Iron Realm that they didn't want, and they didn't want to take a position on this subject, and wanted it left alone.
I see. And now they've reached a position.
You wouldn't say this was gravity.
Well, no, that was no. I've always only ever been myself and expressed my opinion. I was invited on to Globebusters. I gave my opinion there. It was never given as a threat. It was strange because, just suddenly out of the blue, I got a call one night to say, we'd like you to leave. Shortly after the Globebusters. I mean, that might have all been coincidence.
Sorry, I've got my violin queued up. Na, 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 na.
And now I've got no channel.
Sorry, can you do that all
Well,
again
that
over
sure
the top
is
of the violin?
telling.
The reason I raised
see-
it there, guys, isn't, as you say, this was a long time ago, and it was just to validate why I do feel we're included in that. And for flat earthers, that's very telling for me and very disappointing because of all the things. We don't have to get along, but we should be hearing our opinion to get to the truth.
Bravo.
And
Yep.
we're expressing it. We've got a platform as much as it's, in one way valid because Bob has got a bigger channel than we do. But in terms of whether or not that has some overarching determination to my credence that's lent to the argument itself, that's not going to change. And I'm sure I've made that clear as well. And my reasons why I don't think it's necessary. On the other hand, it's an on-topic subject matter, so it is going to get discussed if somebody like Anthony insists that it's raised, ultimately leading me trying to shut it down, and then the entire live show being spent doing it. Who is it that brought up the point about what happens if you make it taboo? Eli. Excellent point. So inadvertently, I've done that. I've gone, I'd rather it's not that important. Let's not talk about it. What happens? Entire live show spent on it.
Sounds like you got a
Well-
taboo bias.
I have more to add to it. I read through the comments on the Globebusters from yesterday, and one of the comments was someone asking what creates the differential in pressure. Their wording was in the atmospheric pressure. What I know the word atmospheric, it doesn't suit us, but just for description, was what the person said. What creates the atmospheric pressure differential? And underneath it, Don't Sphere the Truth, that channel, who has some good content, and I've recommended that channel to people in the past, said to go to his video. He couldn't post the video, and he stated that it's caused by incoherent dielectric acceleration. And Zachary Zabala, in his video that I made a response because of, I didn't really respond to his video, I just made a video because of his video. He stated that the pressure differential in our atmos, in our air, is due to incoherent dielectric acceleration. So there's more than just one thing being attributed to this. Just wanted to throw that out there.
And where's the proof of that?
Well, there you go.
Gas doesn't go down, go boom boom. Just going to read some comments from the members only chat. Oh, and a super chat, which I will shout out at the end as well. So Rob H says, Bob specifically said we would not be welcome in their debates. I don't know. That's not been confirmed, Rob, but if you say so. Dank, hey, I got called part of, quote, Nathan's gang on Dell's chat. I wear it proudly. Oh, thank you very much, Dank. I really do appreciate it. Dank also says hello to a few of the participants. Jaren is great. Eero is brilliant. Indeedy do. From Rob H again. Philippu. None of this would matter if we lose our right to protest and are forced to have vaccine passport. Not really on topic, but thank you for your comment. Anybody else got anything to add from the public chat? Feel free. It's not actually, it's members only, but yeah. Also, big shout out to Al Junkie, who says, give this super chat to the one and only the Adam Meakin. I don't know how I give him a super chat. Maybe I'll buy him a beer. I think that's probably the most appropriate. Thank you for the super chat, Al Junkie. Really appreciate the support. Anybody from Discord got anything to add, as we've had an entire show addressing? Okay,
The violins work. Cheers, Al.
I like how we're a gang now. It's cool.
We're what?
I thought the English said I'll buy you a pint.
Sorry, what? We're what?
I thought the English and the Irish say, I'll take you to the pub and buy you a pint.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't know
I was
you
asking
said
chocolate.
beer.
Right? We're what now?
No, one of the comments was, or one of the super chats said they got identified as part of Nathan's gang. I said, I like how we're a gang now.
Gang.
Yeah, we're a
Yeah,
gang.
yeah. That's a very key
I've
word.
been
That
called that many times.
gang.
Yeah,
Why?
you
Well,
don't
we do
remember
have a
one of the
sense of
super chats you
loyalty,
just read. I think it was
Damn
gang.
right we got loyalty.
Well, I just think that the word gang has got a very strong negative connotation to it, hasn't it? It's like, it's one of the trigger words, isn't it?
Sorry, Chocolate, you're gonna have to give up rap and go Gangman style.
Oh shit. It's 'cause I'm a
Well,
Yeah,
Brian said he's all
initiated-
part of special forces.
Yeah. Well, the initiation into it is learning the scientific method. If you don't get that, you're in trouble.
Can I
That's
can I
that's
give
how
a
you get jumped in.
Yeah.
Go on, Neil.
before the
You're in
show runs
trouble.
out? Can I give
Oh, it's
my
Harvey.
summary interpretation of
Of
the
course you can.
situation that happened with Adam?
ahead.
Adam was
Can you-
fired through Bobsecutive action.
Let's not worry about that.
Boom, boom.
Can I just add? Can I just add that the Rachie bit that Bob's influencing, if Rachie really wants to work out what's going on, and I've said to her in text a few times, she needs to learn scientific method. Until she gets her head round what scientific method does, it proves the cause of an effect by manipulating the independent variable to establish that cause of the effect. Until she learns that, she's going to be wandering down paths that lead to nowhere. So Rachie, if you're listening, take my advice. Learn quantum erasers, listen to what he says and apply what he says. And it doesn't matter if you get it wrong a couple of times. We all do it. It's part of the learning curve. But it allows you to distinguish the bullshit from the actual science. And that will give you the answer.
Nathan, can you let
Right.
us know when it's going to be again? Because QE said it was going to be every other Sunday, where he's dropping anchor on
It
scientific
was anyway.
method, which I think is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best defense.
I suspected that would cause confusion. So the show schedule hasn't changed and will not change. The only thing that's going to change is that previously when I was running Ballbusters, I used to keep the show running. So in the same way, if you're watching this live right now, remember the number of the show, 1372, and watch the uncut and after show, because typically I'll try and keep a lid on certain subjects that are too internal for me to let reach the live show, which is what I've done today. But once the live show ends today, I know that there's people who are going to want to air their personal views on this subject, and I'm going to let them. You know, it's on topic, so I'm not going to stop them. So just bear that in mind when I do actually round out the live show. Just make a note of the number and come and watch the after show, because it'll be well worth it. I'll say that in advance of it happening, because I know what's going to happen in the after show. It happened in the pre-show. Anyway.
Read my last comment in chat.
You read it. Go ahead, Arwin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The more, hey, that is your name, Arwin? Bob acts like a 12-year-old girl. The more I get inspired to make memes about him. It's not a conscious process. It just happens as a natural consequence.
We have to make memes about people on our own side.
Excuse me, our own side?
Yeah, Bob's a flat earther. I consider myself by name only as a flat earther.
I
I'm starting to question that.
don't really know. No, I consider to be on the side of flat earth science-based realist, not science fiction-based fantasists that just happen to have a vantage point of a flat earth. Thanks.
People.
I just want to state that Rachie, that Anthony was speaking about, that she asked me because she was told that Nathan, you were dishonest, and this guy, I was some baller troll, I can't remember what it was, had given her something to do with some messages between you and Anthony, and it was all taken out of context. No, that the ballers mess around. I remember the thing, I remember the time, I remember the stuff happening with it, but it was all taken out of context. And the way that it was worded to her, and I'm sure it's been worded to other people, is they made it look like you were hiding globe evidence, right? So she asked me about this. So it's very likely there's people being told not to watch the show or not to trust you, Nathan, because people are pushing nonsense that isn't true about you.
Maybe we should
You're
address that.
dishonest.
Maybe we should address that after Nathan rounds out. Nathan, what do you think?
Precisely what will happen, Anthony. With that, I'll say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an epic after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, smashed the super chat, and all that good stuff. Also, link below this video, there is a link to get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.